I never believed in things like creepy encounters or bad omens, at least not until I met her. It happened about a year ago. I had just moved into a new apartment. You know, one of those cheap places that are just far enough from the city to be quiet, but close enough to be convenient. It was a small building, old, a little run down, the kind that has creaky floors and strange smells in the hallways. At first, everything seemed normal. I'd go to work, come home, settle into my routine. But it wasn't long before I noticed her. She would stand outside my window, just outside of my view, at night. It wasn't always at the same time, but I began to notice a pattern. Around midnight, I'd hear a faint tapping on the glass. Just light enough that I wasn't sure if I was hearing things, but loud enough to make me curious. And when I'd check, she was there. A woman standing just outside the window, staring directly at me. She never moved, never waved, never knocked. Just stood there, watching, her face pale and still. At first, I thought I was imagining it. I mean, who stands outside someone's window like that? But the next night, she was there again. And the night after that. It got worse over time. I started locking my windows and closing my blinds, but even then I could feel her presence. Sometimes I'd get the feeling that she was still there, standing in the dark, staring at me even when I couldn't see her. There's something unnatural about it, you know? When someone watches you so intently, like they're studying your every move. But that's the thing. I don't think she was just watching me. I think she was waiting for something. One evening, I decided to confront it. I couldn't live like this anymore, feeling her eyes on me all the time. I waited until midnight, like clockwork. I sat by the window, the blinds slightly parted, ready to see her. And when she appeared, she was exactly as she always was. Pale face, dark hair hanging loosely, no expression on her face. I stared back at her for what felt like hours, my heart racing. Then, without thinking, I opened the window, leaned out, and yelled, "What do you want from me?" She didn't say a word, didn't even flinch. Instead, she just smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile or a normal smile. It was a wide, disturbing grin that stretched across her face far too wide. Her teeth were sharp, jagged, like they didn't belong in her mouth at all. It was like something from a nightmare, a smile that shouldn't exist in the real world. I slammed the window shut and locked it. My heart was pounding in my chest, my hands shaking. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. That smile, and the way she'd just stood there, waiting for me. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing noises outside, faint tapping, like something scratching against the walls. I tried to ignore it, but my mind wouldn't let me. I kept checking the window, making sure she wasn't there. But she never appeared again. Not that night, or the next. But something was off. A few days later, I went out for groceries. When I came back, the building felt different. The air was heavy, thick with an unsettling chill. I walked up the stairs to my apartment, unlocked the door, and stepped inside. And that's when I saw it. On my kitchen table was a small, crumpled piece of paper. I didn't remember putting it there, but there it was, just waiting for me. My hands trembling, I unfolded it. It was a drawing, a picture of me, sitting in front of the window. And in the background, I saw her, the woman. Only this time, she wasn't standing outside the window. She was inside, right behind me. Her wide, jagged smile was unmistakable. I looked around the apartment, my breath catching in my throat. There was no sign of her, no trace of anything that shouldn't be there. But as I turned back to the table, I saw something else, a fresh set of fingerprints on the glass. They weren't mine. And they weren't from the outside. The camera zooms in on the speaker's face as they lower their voice. I don't know what she wants. I don't know why she's following me, but I do know one thing: she's still watching, and one day she'll be standing right behind me.